What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff, arm yourselves, exercise stuff. So I really hate cardio. And outside hiking, I haven't figured out how to do cardio effectively. Hiking is great, but it's an excursion, it's a big thing, it's a time investment, weather dependent. And then, of course, for cardio, people will say, just do it, push through the pain. But cardio is so painful and humiliating. So many different ways you can get gassed or fail, and it happens so quickly and so easily, and it's so painful and so embarrassing. I don't think cardio is for normal people. Cardio is for your half naked ancestors and joggers or sprinters, runners, cyclists, swimmers, modern day serial killers. There is something basically wrong with you if you like cardio. You use health to cover your death plotting. So, how is a proud and fat bastard supposed to get their cardio in? I think I finally cracked the code, and it has nothing to do with discipline or health. It is, in fact, by leaning into a sprinter's psychopathy. First, you need to think about cardio the way you think about lifting, at least in terms of time frame. Cardio is something you commit to not for a few days or weeks or months, but instead years. And you need to trust you're making progress even though you don't feel like it. And that's difficult to do because of how painful and humiliating cardio is. Lifting is like getting kisses and hugs. You don't really care about the progress all that much because it's just so pleasant doing it. And then in 2 years, you realize you're strong. Versus cardio, which is like walking into an autoerotic torture session every day and you don't get off on it. But I think that is the key to sticking with it long term. You need to adopt an S&M mindset. What is the first thing a master in training must do? Be the dirtiest submissive for a while. Your embarrassment and shame is your key to growing your ability to walk 50 feet without huffing and puffing. I've accepted the fact I have childbearing hips and I'm never going to be skinny and slender, but I really can't stand the huffing and puffing. So when you're starting out, you pick something cardio to focus on. Same way when you're lifting, you pick one movement to focus on. And I think it's good to set a brief time limit for yourself. That makes you feel like you have a way out, and even if you don't do very much, you're still building that, I hate the word discipline, but you're building that get in there muscle. And frankly, the way I've been doing cardio, my overall time limit is between 15 and 20 minutes. I don't do cardio very long because I hate it. It's painful and it's embarrassing. Now, you start your cardio thing, whatever it is, and you go until you are in pain and ashamed of yourself, disgusted with yourself, and you know you could probably push just a little bit harder and get a little bit more, but for our program here, you don't do that. Once you get to that point, once you're feeling very hurt and humiliated, stop. Don't push through the pain. Don't try to be a gladiator with the mind of a philosopher, body of gladiator, mind of philosopher bullshit. You stop and you sit down and you breathe and you feel like crying and you sit there until you get your breath back. And then you do it again. Same process. Push yourself until you are hurting and ashamed and out of breath, and then you stop again. And it's going to come even faster this time. And you're going to feel even worse, but you aren't going to quit because you didn't force yourself beyond, or force yourself out of shame and discomfort and pain and humiliation and into devastation. A proper Dom understands pleasure is shared. A proper submissive understands the same thing. Or in therapy, I think it's called the work zone or the action zone. A therapist will push you outside your comfort zone, but not so far you break down or shut down. That's where the best healing gets done. That's where the best nuts are busted. And if you reach your humiliation point once, that's fine. It's better if you reach it more times, but it's fine if you can't. Reach it once and then run out the clock doing something that's not going to hurt and exhaust and embarrass you, or even just sit there. But your goal is to feel hurt and ashamed but not broken as many times as possible within this narrow time frame. And you do this as often as you can, every day even. You don't even need to go to the gym necessarily. You can feel hurt and embarrassed and ashamed and humiliated from your own bedroom. Some people act like exercising every day, hitting the same muscle groups every day, or doing the same cardio every day is a bad thing. Eric Bugenhagen, Ricky the Stick, disagrees, and I do too. You'll need to switch up at some point, but if you want to make gains really fast, or push through a plateau, or in this case, build your cardio, daily works. And this is another distinction between lifting and cardio, because lifting is such a pleasure, getting to do it every day is a joy. Cardio sucks ass, and it feels like a daily torture, but I think the reason cardio feels so torturous is not just the physical and emotional impact it has on you. I think cardio is so demoralizing, especially to fat bastards, because it feels like you never make progress. But this is why learning to love humiliation and shame is so important for you, you fat fuck. I noticed something because I've been forcing myself to do cardio this much. Even if you suck at cardio and feel like you're doing almost no cardio, even when you're doing cardio, how little you're doing versus how hurt and embarrassed you feel, you'll notice pretty quickly actually, you are making progress. I started doing one of those resistance bikes because fuck running, I have hooves, so I needed to find a way to embarrass myself a little more comfortably while also working my quads because while I don't hate squatting for muscle, just the circumstances all around squatting make it a pain if you want to go heavy. And it's not working your cardio, and cardio is mostly what I'm focusing on, but I also do want a little bit of muscle. So I got on the bike and I told myself I would do it for just 15 minutes. I couldn't get through 30 seconds. Do you understand how humiliating it is to need to get off a machine basically right after you got on it and you look like you just, I don't know, wrestled a pig, which is fitting. And then it took me a while to catch my breath, and then I needed to go in 15 to 20-second intervals, needing to catch my breath after each of those. You feel like an embarrassment to existence. You feel like you've disappointed both God and thousands of years of evolution simultaneously. It took me, I'd say, about 20 minutes to get through 5 minutes total using the bike. And as with every other time I have tried to get into cardio outside hiking, but again, hiking is a completely different thing, I wanted to quit. I tried to give myself every reasonable reason to quit. You're probably doing this wrong. You should probably do some research and then try to do it again a different way, which would lead to what? Scrolling through 2 articles on your phone while you're shitting and then never do cardio again. But I decided to force it and see what happened. Treat it like lifting, but not as fun. Because my lifting mindset is all about joy and comfort. I am almost never in pain while I'm lifting. I don't dread lifting. I very much enjoy it because I do only what I'm comfortable with, which is probably why I never reached the heights, but I still got pretty strong. So I went in and I forced myself for a while and I compromised. Don't do the pushing yourself through the pain thing. And although this is comfortable or uncomfortable, we're going to do this as comfortably and reasonably as possible. I.e., work until you are hurting and humiliated, and then break, and then do it again, and then run out the clock. Now, I'm still fucking fat and out of shape, but I can now do 1 minute and 40 seconds on the bike before needing a break. The breaks are shorter, and my future intervals are usually between 40 seconds and a minute. And that doesn't feel like progress, but it is progress and you can see it. And the reason the humiliation point is the crux of all this is the humiliation point, as ugly and painful and embarrassing as it is, it kicks the ultimate underlying demoralization out from underneath cardio. Because that point informs you you are, in fact, making progress, even if you don't see it right now, and certainly even if you don't feel it. As long as you walk out feeling like an exhausted, sweating tub of lard, you know you have made progress. Every time you feel like cardio has shit on your chest or spit in your mouth, you know you have gotten better. It's like that, I don't know if it's a contemporary pilots thing, but the old pilots thing. Don't trust the way you feel, trust your instruments. Except in this case, your instrument is your humiliation. When you feel humiliated and out of breath and embarrassed, you're getting somewhere. Even if it doesn't feel that way, even if it feels like the complete opposite, you know you are, in fact, getting somewhere. Even if you hit that point only once in your entire workout. As long as you're hitting those points regularly, you will get better. And the humiliation point is lovely because it's not a positive feeling. You aren't looking for a good feeling because you're not going to get that good feeling out of cardio. You know you're making progress when you feel terrible, when you feel ashamed. And it's very easy for you to feel ashamed because you're so fat and out of shape. For once, your lard is doing you a favor. It's easier right now, it's easiest for you right now to reach a progress point. And then once you notice you've made progress, that's where the S&M thing kicks in again. Because you realize each time you get humiliated, you are 1 inch closer to being the one doing the humiliating. I can see it clearly in my mind. Someday in the future, after another day of floggings or contemplating on the tree of woe, the cat o' nine tails will appear in my hand. And it'll be me beating the shit out of that 5 minutes. And you become the humiliator by being the humiliated. You develop a taste for piss because you know every time you sip it, every drop you feel on your tongue, you are getting closer to turning the tables. You don't need to fear a basic bitch jogger at night. You don't need to be afraid that you won't have the cardio to escape her when she runs after you. With adequate humiliation, you can become the chaser. You can do what you were born to do. Chase women at night to help them with their fitness and ensure they get home safely. So, to summarize, pick a cardio thing, give yourself an overall time limit, push yourself to the point you're hurting and ashamed and you don't want to look anyone in the face. Don't push through the pain, don't push yourself any harder. Stop, take a break, get your breath back, do it again. Repeat until you have run out the clock or until you feel you're done. Again, even just one humiliation point is enough. I mean, it's not enough in the bigger picture, but for now, good start. Then do that routine as regularly as you can, and know every single time you need to take a break because you're hurting and embarrassed, you are getting closer, even though it really doesn't feel like it. Trust that humiliation is strength. And the more of these humiliation tallies you add up over the weeks, over the months, the closer you are to making progress you notice and feel, and maybe even get off on. Learning to love and trust humiliation is the key. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.